Okay, first of all, here's Donald Trump claiming that the NYPD has shut down the streets for blocks and that his protesters can't show up in Manhattan.
For great Americans, people that want to come down and they want to protest at the court and they want to protest peacefully, we have more police presence here than anyone's ever seen. For blocks, you can't get near this courthouse. And yet you have nobody up at a college where you have very radical people wanting to rip the colleges down, the universities down. And that's a shame. But it all starts with Joe Biden.
And now, as I'm sure you're expecting, here's what the scene outside the courthouse actually looks like. How about that? Donald Trump lying about the supposed throngs of people putting their lives on hold in their slavish devotion to him. For those wondering how Trump perceives himself in his head, this moment right here is telling. And let's be clear, this has now become a recurring theme for Donald Trump. Ironically enough, a year ago this month, when Trump was set to be indicted in this very case, Trump posted on Truth Social that he, quote, will be arrested on Tuesday of next week, protest, take our nation back. He then followed that post with yet another post that's even less ambiguous. Quote, we just can't allow this anymore. They're killing our nation as we sit back and watch. We must save America. Protest, protest, protest. Only small problem. That protest never actually materialized. It turns out that after more than 1,000 people were charged after Trump summoned his supporters to the Capitol on January 6th, people tend to be just a little weary of sacrificing their livelihood, their records, and their freedom all in blind deference to a criminal who wouldn't lift a finger to help anyone else. And that's the thing you have to remember with loyalty as far as Trump is concerned. It is a one-way street. Granted, that's not to say that Trump isn't trying. Frankly, if you're looking to incite another January 6th, this is how you do it. What Trump posted last year all the way to his comments now aren't too dissimilar to his tweet preceding the January 6th insurrection, where he wrote, big protest in DC on January 6th, be there, will be wild. Which, by the way, is all the proof you need that the insurrection was never an accident, it was the goal. If you can see what happened on January 6th and repeat the same tactics, knowing how the insurrection panned out, then no, it was never an accident. For Trump, the violence isn't a bug, it's a feature. And by the way, what we're seeing right now by virtue of Trump attempting to provoke his umpteenth mob is a lesson in pursuing justice quickly. By virtue of the justice system moving so slowly and holding Trump to account, his takeaway was clearly, I can do this again with impunity. When you fail to swiftly hold a criminal accountable, there is no incentive for that criminal to change his behavior. The simple fact is that Trump is using political violence as a tool. He wants the threat of his supporters descending upon New York to scare prosecutors or witnesses or jurors into thinking twice about holding him accountable. He would rather stoke the flames of domestic terrorism than accept responsibility for his own crimes, coming straight from the leader of the Law and Order Party himself. I mean, the fact that the guy has violated his gag order in his Manhattan trial 10 times is a testament to exactly that. He's not concerned about punishments. He's concerned about intimidating those who have the power to punish him. Just as he's tried to chill his prosecutions by inciting big protests that never materialized, he and his right-wing mouthpieces are trying to chill the administration of justice by scaring jurors and witnesses with statements like these.
A nurse from the Upper East Side with a master's degree. She's not married, has no kids, and lives with her fiancé, who works in finance. She gets her news from the New York Times, Google, and CNN. She said two things that really stuck out. One, quote, I don't really have an opinion of Trump, and, quote, no one is above the law. I'm not so sure about juror number 2.
And for the record, that juror, number 2, ultimately did drop out. These people know what they're doing, and the only way to stop them is to hold them to account for their actions. And so Trump will cry victim, but remember, he brought this upon himself. No one asked the guy to make illegal campaign contributions to Stormy Daniels to keep their affair quiet so it wouldn't hurt his chances of running for office and then cook his books. That was him. Just like no one asked him to call Georgia's Secretary of State, Brad Raffensperger, to tell him to conjure up 11,780 non-existent votes. No one asked him to steal classified documents from the White House and lie about having already returned them. No one asked him to falsify business records and issue false financial statements and engage in insurance fraud in New York. He did all of those things on his own. He is a grown-ass man. Don't forget that. So if he's being prosecuted now, Donald Trump has no one to blame but himself. And the fact that I have to explain that to the leader of a party that brands itself the party of personal responsibility really does put the hypocrisy on full display. And finally, to anyone even remotely considering protesting on Trump's behalf, I hope you recognize that you will derive no benefit from this. It'll cost you time and money away from your family while you rot in a cell, and also, it'll make no difference. Donald Trump is being prosecuted regardless, so the fact that some sucker shows up in public to cry and do his bidding isn't going to change anything. And as for Donald Trump, I know that he thinks that this will only bolster his support and that his minions will rally to his side, but all it'll do is show the Republican Party just how much of a liability the guy is. And that if they ever want to win an election again, it's probably not going to be at the hands of a guy who is more likely than not going to be a convicted felon. Before you go, I need some help. Please subscribe to the channel and do your part to help grow the progressive media ecosystem. I don't do sponsorships or paid ads, I won't ask for money, but just subscribing to this channel goes a really long way, and it helps get the message out to more people. The subscribe button is right here on the screen. You can also subscribe to my Spanish language channel, which I made to reach those crucial Spanish-speaking voters. That link is on the screen too. And finally, if you want to listen to my audio podcast, you can follow that link as well. Thanks so much for watching.